We ready, men? I want to stop. I don't want to be just going, hey, boys. We're not boys.
Yeah, I think Michael and I, maybe you weren't there. We talked about this recently about how we don't call adult women girls anymore, or we're just avoiding doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very weird in a post-Epstein list world to be calling people you're sexually attracted to girls.
Yeah. Well, I'm not sexually attracted to all women, but yeah.
No, you're hardly attracted to any women at this point, which is fine.
Yeah, I'm definitely. Yeah, that's okay. I was going to elaborate, but
yeah, no need. Take us in, prophets.
But yeah, radio. I'm not a boy. I guess I should say I'm not a boy.
Not a boy.
Not yet a man.
I'm just a boy. What if was it? Oh, sorry.
That's getting clipped. We're recording.
Oh,
Prophet Station Radio. You're talking to the Stones. We got producer Jim on guitar, rocking up a storm. We got Michelangelo. Michael is crafting us a beautiful masterpiece as we speak. I'm MCJC here to hospice what once was a pretty good civilization. It was all right. And now it's been taken over by AI slop.
By aliens.
You know, I kind of think that AI slop's not too good.
Well, you know, I still do find myself occasionally getting a kick out of AI slop.
Yeah,
it does happen.
It's funny once in a while. Well, 10 million people per episode can't be wrong. We're going to watch what's probably the most successful AI slop ever created so far.
Honestly, setting the bar very high pretty early.
The bar high. So we're going to talk about that, but then we're going to talk about how AI slop is not just lighting up our lives as we use it for entertainment. It's also on the battlefield. AI slop is now how we're waging war in what's got to be the coolest world possible. Pangloss was right. And then we're going to tell you, if you don't like AI slop, then we have an alternative, just a beautiful work of art to return us to a little bit of sanity before we leave you today. Men, how are we doing?
Making it day by day, baby, day by day.
Mm-hmm. Can't complain. Mm-hmm. Wouldn't if I could, because y'all would not listen. Leave me alone.
Shame you.
Shame me for my first world problems, please. How you doing?
I'm doing great. We're recording this on Palm Sunday. So Palm Sunday, it's the week before Easter. They really do it up in the Catholic Church for Palm Sunday. They do it's kind of a little play where everybody gets a part. Including the crowd. We get to say the lines during the Passion where it's like, kill him. It's very dark. It really has you meditate on your life and your choices. And then you go home and you watch the worst thing ever on YouTube for your podcast. That's kind of how Palm Sunday goes.
Yeah. I would say, hell yeah in most contexts, but a respectful heck yeah for Palm Sunday. And that was part of my last-minute decision to change the intro song. That was, of course, Paranoid by Black Sabbath from the album of the same name. And the first time I played it just now, I forgot he plays Wide Open. He plays Wide Open. For you guitarists out there, play it on the bottom two strings, not the next two, because it's beefier. Do it like Tony would or did. But then it gets into that really palm muted during the verse, and obvious nod to this day, Palm Sunday.
That's a great bit.
It's also, Sunday would be the Sabbath for Catholics, right? Or wait, no, you do Saturday, don't you? I always forget which one.
So Saturday is the Sabbath. Sunday is the celebration of Christ's return. It's like a miniature Easter, except for Easter Sunday, which is the fullness of Easter. But yeah, so like the fullness. We got the fullness, baby. Come back, return. Yeah, so it's a lot of people will say the Sabbath is like the day that people worship, but it's just different after AD 33.
Oh, yeah. I see. I was trying to remember.
So Sundays are a day of obligation.
I see.
Is how we would say it. That's how we would say it rather than the Sabbath.
Okay.
I think I'm going to have to look this up before I edit this, and I don't want to say something and then I get a call from Pope Leo saying,
"Sure,
you're off the team. Sorry, bud."
He's getting paranoid.
Does he have much of like a Chicago type accent? Does he like bring that?
He has a
Chicago
crazy
vibe?
voice.
Yeah.
Yeah, he has a great voice, and he is he's like all popes. He's multilingual. So
Sure.
it's just kind of, when you're multilingual for decades and decades, it just has such an interesting impact on your voice. He's not like a Chicago guy. Crazy enough, one of the leading candidates for Pope during the latest Pope elections, papal elections.
Yeah, they are elected.
Was
right?
Yeah,
by the Cardinals.
by the Cardinals. One of the guy not from Chicago was named Pizza Balla.
Oh, let's go.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
It's a crazy world.
That's funny. That brought to mind two things. One is that you saying like popes have funny voices or whatever reminded me of my favorite casting of the Pope, which I don't think most Catholics would approve of course, when Frank Zappa voiced the Pope on the Ren and Stimpy show. But what was that guy's name again? The one that you just named?
Pizza Balla.
Pizza Balla. Okay.
Pizza Balla.
See, that reminded me of this, because it's a fun sounding set of syllables. Recently, I've been learning some Filipino words. I work with several Filipinos, and I like to surprise them with words in Filipino, which I actually learned is a distinct language from Tagalog. It is largely Tagalog, but also incorporates some Spanish and some other languages as well, in part. I don't want to speak. It seems like it might have been a plan for the government to try to do like national identity, but I don't know. I don't want to speak on their behalf. Anyways, I looked it up. Nakaka Loca.
Live in Nakaka Loca.
Exactly. So it directly the website I found said that it directly translates to "this is driving me crazy."
That's nice.
Yeah, so I asked my coworker, like, "What's Nakaka your Loca today?" And stuff like that. But then I realized, because we all love Britney Spears, and she's got that song "You Drive Me Crazy," and it's like the syllables line up perfectly for Nakaka Loca, and I just can't see. I'm so excited.
Yeah.
Too deep. Yeah, Anyway, that's what I'm thinking about.
That's capturing producer Jim's imagination these days. I don't know which one of you Dern SOBs suggested that we watch Fruit Love Island.
You don't know which
in
one?
The group chat. Was it you, Michael?
No, come on, bro.
Michael, was it you?
We know it was Jim.
It was Jim. Jim, I don't want to know it is real. Fruit Love Island. You won't believe it, but Fruit Love Island is a parody of Love Island. In what is probably the laziest act of parody naming ever. It's an AI generated internet show that originally was on TikTok. In less than a month, it's gotten like 3.3 million followers and it averages like 10 million views an episode. It's by an account ai.cinema021. So, you know, you have Orson Welles, Ingmar Bergman, Andrei Tarkovsky, and now ai.cinema021.
Yeah, no, and
So
I thought like the total number of views exceeds the population of the U.S., which I often like to
insane.
frame things in that way.
Yeah. So it's a fictional series. Fictional. This AI generated series is fictional. We need a new word. About anthropomorphized fruits and very Italian brain. If you are unlucky enough to know what Italian brain rot is, it's very Italian brain rot coded, the names and the characters. But they're anthropomorphized fruits, and they're on a reality show where they try to find love. In more or less, I think like Love Island, which I've only seen clips of. In researching this, but
really, you're missing out, brother.
I mean, yeah, I probably am.
Are You the One is my favorite reality dating show in exotic locations, but it's a good one. Anyways.
So, okay, each element is AI generated. Now, AI.cinema021, I'm just going to call him 021. I assume it's a male for some reason. He says that there are places you can find where he says he writes the scripts, but we watched the episodes. He ain't right. It's so, or he is spend so much time with ChatGPT that his brain has become corrupted to the point where even if he's writing these scripts, they are in AI gen language. So like the script, the voiceovers, and the visuals all generated. Now this is beautiful. March 26th, TikTok takes it down. Still going strong on YouTube. I found him on a tweet or something on social media, decrying how bad Gen AI tools have gotten. So it's taking him up to 3 hours to produce a single episode.
Oh my God. Can you imagine?
But yeah, they're not long episodes though. They're like 110 or 220. I feel like there's like a pattern for some sort of software we're using.
Yeah. And
dang,
here's the hilarious thing. If you look on Wikipedia or you read through any of like the mainstream media coverage of it, critics are hand wringing that it may violate copyright law because it. I love watching this piece of shit and being like, oh no, is it violating copyright law? Yeah, I think it might be infringing on the intellectual property of Love Island.
Right, because the name of the series is Fruit Love Island. But you know, actually, I was just thinking this as you were doing the little intro there. Like, yeah, yes, it is AI slop. Yes, it has superficial similarities to the reality show Love Island, but it's as generative content. It's not reality TV. It's something new. Mm-hmm. We've gotten to where we don't even have. It's not even fake scripted reality TV passed off. Right. It's reality TV that has no illusion of being real, and I think there's something really rich there.
And it's not just not real the way that The Office is pretending to be a reality show and it's not real, or that wrestling is pretending to be real, but it's not real. It's I'm sorry, I hate to be Santa. Well, that's another conversation.
I've got something on that too, but
it's a blender slurry of image. It's crazy.
Yeah,
but we watched it.
Yeah,
we watched it.
And I will say, like, when I was first exposed to it, the clip that I saw was from a third-party source, and they were like presenting it as like, look at how ridiculous and silly this is. And I assumed what they were showing was like a highlight clip reel. But no, it was the entire episode where it's just like, well, and then they immediately jump into, I forget if it was Strawberryna and Grapenzo, which characters they were, but immediately jump into like, oh, but I chose him. Well, he's my man. And then like, an AI, like, right. There was far less plot than I was expecting.
There is, and like you're saying, each shot is sort of very lightly connected to the last one and the next one. It's
yeah,
and the characters are not very they're not consistent across even a minute-long episode.
Right, that's kind of a diplomatic way to say that. Yeah, I had to figure out like, oh, the guy whose head was a banana is now just a guy who is yellow and has a human head.
Also, I will say though, I am a bit fucked, boys, because episode one, I said to myself, I literally said, I had to write this down. I said to myself, why would Bananito choose Pina Pina over Watermelina?
Oh, same.
I was like, oh shit, I'm invested a little bit. No.
I'm 100%. Watermelina is the finest.
Dude, she's smoking hot.
Did you get to the one
where... Who's your
where...
favorite, Mike?
Oh, yeah.
Bro, I can't say I have a favorite. I'm not believing what I'm hearing here.
So you have like 2 or 3 favorites.
That's right.
You can't choose just one.
Right? Water, what is it? Watermelina?
Watermelina.
Watermelina. I guess if I had to pick.
Can you talk more into the mic, Michael? When it's going like that, we can't.
Fuck you.
There we go.
Is that better?
Say that one more time. Can you answer that one more time? Who's your favorite?
Watermelina.
Oof.
She's mine. Hands off.
We're gonna have to wrestle for her, boy.
Also, weirdly, there's like 4 episodes that really highlight that Sharita has a child and she's a mom. And then sometimes they'll be like, wow, that's actually really cool. And then all of a sudden there's an episode where everyone is like gossiping about her. it's bad.
Yeah, because that one time when she says to like Lime Carlos or whatever the Lime's name is, and he's definitely like usually kind of Latino flavored, but not consistently like anything else. But she's like, oh, I'm a mommy. And he's like, oh, you mean like a mommy? And she's like, no, I have a kid. And he's like, oh. Did you guys get to episode?
That's actually taken from Love Island. That's one of that storyline is one of the things that people are worried is infringing on.
One of them has a kid.
Yeah, and like some of the dialogue. Man, wait a second. It's called Fruit Love Island, and one of them is a mother.
Did you guys get to episode 19? Had that twist? Who was? I think Orangella was talking to Strawberryna, and he's just like, yeah, I'm just really not in it. Blah blah. And she's like, what's wrong? What's wrong? And then he says, well, actually, I like Grapenzo. Because then they do like the really weird, jittery, like AI sort of way of kissing, and there's like sound effects, and I sensed a little bit of homophobia. Grapenzo is like, "What are you doing?" One of those.
Yeah.
So that kind of rubbed me in the wrong way. I was on board until.
Yeah, episode 19 is when I tapped out. Something I will say is that there that's not the only problematic content. There's a ton of violence in the show, including a lot of intergender violence. And then there's also, it's really weird too. The characters will say things like, he gets me really wet, but why did he lose the fight though? Or like, I don't know, they like talk really nasty. It's
Oh yeah, there's a time I forget Bananarito, what's his name? Bananito, yeah. He was sitting with someone in a hot tub, and they're like, I forget like how it led to it, but she's like, "Wow, I hope he can handle me." And then he like, in the like horrible animation way, he's like, "Well, I am a banana after all." And like, not only is this where we've gotten to, but that's where they took it.
Yeah, immediately. Yeah.
Now,
I feel like I didn't sufficiently do my homework. I did not make it that far.
But how much did you watch?
I don't know, a few episodes.
Yeah. What did you think? Did you have any?
It was so lowball that I'm not sure I had much thoughts about it. I mean, it was absurd. That's it.
End of story.
With that being said, I can't stand reality TV, like at all. We recently watched part of Survivor. That's the one. It's been around forever.
Yeah.
And even that, man, I don't know. I can't do it.
And that's creme de la creme. Right.
Apparently, it's been going on for quite a while.
Yeah.
Yeah. And my understanding is that one is like at least somewhat real.
Yeah. I mean, do y'all watch any reality TV?
The closest thing I do is pro wrestling, which is reality TV adjacent.
Sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Jim?
I check out a few like podcasts and comedy shows that I won't mention by name until I get their money. But nothing that to be considered reality show. I had a brief phase where I was hanging out with a couple of friends that were really into Are You the One? And I really watched every season of that in its entirety. And I got into it.
Is that another like love finding your partner type thing?
Yeah, and it's also like Fruit Love Island. It has kind of a technological, like Big Brother element to it, where they do like sophisticated technology for matchmaking in order to cast the show, and then on the show. Everyone's supposed to have another person that their algorithm decided was their perfect match. And like the objective of the whole show is that through a series of guessing matches and a lot of drama in between, they figure out who everyone's individual perfect match is. Which like I thought, because they would win prize money only if they figured out who everyone's perfect match was. And sometimes that defied the heart. And I thought it was just like, the money or the heart. Like, I don't know. I've been hesitating even mentioning the dangerous information character that's out there, but it seems a little bit in that realm. I'm being obtuse because we can bleep stuff out, right?
Yeah. Sure. Are you talking about Roko's Basilisk?
I am, yeah.
Oh, boy.
What's with that?
Whatever you do, listener, do not search Roko's Basilisk. That's Roko with the Roko, not Roku.
But don't go look.
Don't. That's the last thing you want to do.
Is it grotesque?
Psychologically.
Why don't you just explain for Michael what Roko's Basilisk is?
Because I don't want to indebt him.
I appreciate that. I'll take it.
Yeah, I don't know. Are you? What? Your call, Michael.
Well, here's what I'll say. Lily will sometimes show me videos that are shorts of like something that's funny, and maybe it's a dog that's like being put in a really uncomfortable situation. It's funny to us. if you're paying attention to the dog, it's like he's clearly super anxious. So in those instances, I'm like, hey, just don't show me stuff like that. I can't enjoy it, you know? So if it's, you know, I don't know.
Yeah, it more of like, depending on how seriously you take it, it could have like consequences with the way that you make every decision for the rest of your life.
Okay. Well, now I have to go look at some point. I mean,
Yeah.
Okay.
Come on. No, let us have it, Jim. Let's
I got to hear it
Mr.
now.
Jim.
Okay, so Roko's Basilisk, it was originated on some internet forum, but this guy proposed the idea that there will, as technology continues to develop, there will one day be in a practically all-powerful AI of some sort that has control over all sorts of mechanical systems, and basically it becomes, you know, our robot overlord. But that in order to serve its primary purpose of furthering itself, it will go back and retroactively punish anyone who did not once aware of it, did not knowingly facilitate its coming to fruition, because they can't be trusted then to serve it in its existence. Does that sound like a pretty good summary, Jonathan?
Yeah. And I just want to take a moment to say that AI generated content is not slop. It's actually really good. It's better than Love Island, I think.
I'm doing everything I can to make more happen.
Yeah. I'm making Fruit Island at my house now with ChatGPT. So
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't, that makes me think of something which I don't know, isn't funny, I guess, but it's like whenever people talk about infinite universes or something, and it's like, well, then it's a given that anything can happen and everything does happen somewhere in some universe. I've never understood the logic of that. Like, say there is an infinite amount of universes. Why would everything that possibly you could imagine happen?
right.
And same with that. It's like, I don't know.
What if it's just the same thing in every universe? It's just an infinite, or like there are like 4 different universes.
Right.
It's 4 different kinds, and then
Yeah, I can give you the physicist perspective, which, I mean, you already get the gist of the idea, but there's this thing called the local universe. We believe the universe is expanding. Redshift of stars. There's a whole lot of evidence cosmologically that the universe is expanding. And things that are further away are moving away faster than things that are less far away. So you could think, if you had a balloon and you drew 3 dots on it, if you were in my classroom, I'd do this for you. And then if I blow up the balloon, the middle dot and one of the edge dots will move away from each other, but the 2 outside dots will be moving away from each other faster. So if you get too far away from any point in the universe, space is receding at or faster than the speed of light. If special relativity is true, then it's impossible to communicate any information whatsoever from the non-local universe to our local universe.
Right.
Yeah, and I think that I do like that gives us license to make statements such as anything you could ever possibly imagine may be true somewhere out there.
Yeah.
I think it's nice.
That brings up a question that I was thinking on my walk today.
What's that?
Jonathan, you remember our communications class where you had to get up there and give a 30-minute lecture or something? Jim, I did mine on the equivalence principle.
Yeah.
And I was thinking today, like, is it that,
just for the listeners, can you describe the equivalence principle?
it's like part of special relativity or general relativity. I don't remember which one. But it's essentially that if you're in a closed frame of reference, like I think Einstein was imagining he was in an elevator, and within the elevator, if it's all closed off, you have no data coming in from outside, you are incapable of differentiating gravity or acceleration. And so the equivalence principle is that they are the same. But the question today on the walk was, are they the same legitimately? Is gravity acceleration, or is it just in a specific frame of reference, closed frame, is that you just can't tell the difference? You know, does that make sense? Like, is it one, you just can't tell the difference in a closed frame reference? Or two, is it that gravity and acceleration are the same thing?
Yeah, I can give you a physical discussion if you'd like one.
Well, yeah, because it was making me think about, like, when people talk about gravity, it's like you'll say it's the curved fabric of space-time or whatever, but, well, then what is acceleration? Is acceleration also just the curved space-time? And what causes what? It starts to really crumble for me as far as, like, having a working understanding of it, you know?
Yeah. So, the elevator example is great. If you're in an elevator with no windows, you can't tell the difference between whether you weigh more than you usually do or if the elevator is accelerating upwards.
Right.
I will say if you're in an elevator and suddenly come to the conclusion that you have lost dramatic amounts of weight, say your prayers or whatever it is that you want to do before the elevator hits the bottom of the shaft.
Right.
But
well, and that's like that's the conclusion too, is like, to be free of force, you have to be in a complete free fall. Right? So to not be experiencing gravity, you have to be falling and reach like terminal velocity or whatever. And essentially you're floating without the force of gravity interacting with you.
Yeah.
Because you're not accelerating.
There are a few things floating around there. If you reach terminal velocity, you are not in free fall. Free fall is defined as moving only under the influence of gravity. So you would be ever accelerating at whatever acceleration gravity is providing you. And free fall is almost always taken in context for an amount of change in height where acceleration due to gravity doesn't change appreciably like it would if you were to change, like go way up the atmosphere, whatever. So, by that definition, if I drop a guitar pick, it's free fall. If I throw a guitar pick, even though it has some horizontal motion, it's also in free fall as long as we're ignoring air resistance. Right. But as far as like, that's what general I needed. Well, actually, I had one right here. By the way, I use the Dunlop Jazz 3s. I prefer the textured ones for grip.
Do not say that without sponsorship.
Okay, bleep that.
That's pretty cool.
But
I'm gonna edit that out.
I prefer the Kirk Hammett signature. Leave that in him, and I'll send him an invoice. Even though the grip is not nearly as good, they're just purple. General relativity, like what it sets out to do is to make gravitational interactions not forces in a Newtonian sense, but as a feature of the shape of space-time. So in general relativity, there is no force of gravity. There are massive objects changing the shape of space-time, and then every object moves around according to the shape of space-time. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it just at some point starts to feel like And I know that this isn't the goal, but it starts to feel like a sort of word game. Because I know like it's that way of thinking about it is very usable in physics. But as far as like having understanding that feels right, I just never get there with gravity in particular.
Yeah, the equivalence principle is a case of like, what do they say? 6 of one, half dozen of the other. And there's a lot of stuff like that in physics. You can do all kinds of crazy stuff with electric fields and magnetic fields under transformations that turn them into each other and do things like that. So yeah, a lot of it does depend on the framework that you're working, both the framework and the reference frame that you're working in. But we could definitely, I'd be happy to talk more about this. I don't know if this is something we want to go into more at this time, but yeah, it can be unsatisfying for those things to be like, okay, why bother making a distinction here?
Yeah. It's the same thing, and this is the last thing I'll say, but it's like it's the same for me with gravity. Is like what is motion? I don't I don't know. For
it's all relative, man. Motion is it's crazy. And then you start moving fast, and then time changes. Oof.
Right.
And then you've really stepped into it at that point.
Oh, yeah. Now, if you're moving fast enough that time dilation is affecting your daily life, you probably burst into flames from the air colliding with you so quickly.
I'm loving y'all's discussion, and it in a science materialist way gets at really deep layers of reality. But I did have a bit about Pokemon I wanted to get to before we
gotta get to the Pokemon, baby.
Our Iran state AI slop warfare.
Oh yeah, sure, because we were talking about Love Island. Okay, yeah.
So I just want to brighten our day because this interrupted. We have a 6-year-old here who loves Pokemon, and there's this new Pokemon thing is called Perfect Order. Pokemon is getting into Maoism, folks. Listen to the copy. Listen to the copy on the back of the new Pokemon.
I was worried you were going to say looks maxing, but yeah.
Dude, Pokemon is your 90s nostalgia. It's coming back, but with good politics, folks. The pulse of the city. I'm reading directly off the back of this microplastic exuding little piece of trash here. The pulse of the city, it says, beats in sync with the Pokemon and people who call it home. And preserving the order of it all is Mega Zygarde X, the legendary Pokemon who embodies strength in numbers. So they have this character now. It's called Perfect Order. And the big character is an embodiment of the zeitgeist, or the spirit of history. It's very weirdly like old school 20th century Soviet feel to it. Anyway, so that's kind of weird, huh? Pokemon, you only have to catch one or two.
Right, that's great, because that whole thing about catching them all has capitalism undertones that
I love. We might have said this already on the podcast, but I love when your theme song just imploring children to consume.
Yeah.
Purchase as much as possible, or you've lost.
Right.
The winner is the one who purchased everything.
Do y'all get commercials for the online gambling websites?
Oh,
some of them, yeah.
Yeah.
Bro, I don't know how that is legal.
It's
like
crazy.
Kalshi and that kind
Some
of
of
stuff.
them are fucked up, man. Like there's one that's it always starts off by saying, I make an extra $80 a day. All I do is make these little bets, you know? It's like fuck, man.
Mm-hmm.
What
And
are
if
those bets? What are the bets called when you make bets that stuff will happen in a
prop
game?
bets.
Prop bets, yeah. It's like the most. It's just crack cocaine.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Here's the thing.
That's insane.
Are there prop bets on the war with Iran? There's got to be, right?
Yeah, for
we
sure.
gotta get
I'm
in
sure
on
there
that,
is.
folks.
There was one.
There's got to be.
What's the over under?
Yeah.
No, there was one. I forget who it was, but they got in trouble for having some people betting on whether it might have been related to the war, but it was like the controversy was that people were betting on whether other people were going to die. Yeah.
Actuarial betting in a wartime scenario is such degenerate bullshit. But God bless them. They're all sons and
Right.
daughters of-
Yeah, but you know, just to play devil's advocate, as you know I am wont to do.
Here we go. He loves advocating
You know,
for or as the devil.
oh, I don't know the expression.
Continue. Disregard.
I don't claim to be the devil, but I don't think the devil would either. Yeah, but I was just thinking, you know, sure, people betting on apps whether some conflict is going to happen that would result in, uncountable, unnecessary, innocent human deaths and stuff. But, you know, in some way, that's kind of bringing the power back to the people. Why should only the capitalist war machines financially profit from these bloody conflicts?
Right. Why can't proletarian bookies also profit off of the carnage and human soul?
That's really fun. The phrase proletarian bookie is really good. We're not just lumping proletariat anymore.
Speaking of the species death drive running amok in this long game we call war, AI slop is now being used by the Iranian state to troll Trump.
To great effect.
Yeah, it's a great effect. So Tasnim News Agency, which is an IRGC. IRGC is like this. It's like the Revolutionary Guard. It's like part of the Iranian state, I guess, or it's at least under the control of the Iranian state leader. So they are now producing AI-generated videos in the style of the Lego movies. So not like they don't look like Legos. They look like the CG movies of Lego branded CG movies.
Right.
They're not as good as Lego Batman 2, I will say. Not quite as funny, but they are pretty funny. They're pretty good. And they're posting them. And if you needed any more evidence that the reality war is already well underway and that World War III is actually a war to control how we perceive reality, here you go. You have a state that could be facing annihilation at war with two nuclear armed states. And there's a whole lot of intersecting issues here and potential belligerence. And we've got AI slop coming in to I guess enrage Donald Trump. Is that it?
I would think, and surely it's working.
Yeah.
Yeah. So one of the videos, it has Donald Trump, Benjamin Netanyahu, and the devil himself, with the horns and all, plotting imperialist destruction of Iran, and they kill like a girls' school, and then what happens is Iran fucks everyone's shit up. They're destroying, they're just bombing everything. They're bombing like Benjamin Netanyahu's house and shit. It's just like all crazy. There's there's people getting blown to Lego people being blown to smithereens. And then there's also one that has a AI generated rap song.
Yeah, and that one got I would say more than vaguely threatening towards the well-being of the current president of the United States.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Pretty darn bold, throwing up a tombstone of him from, I think he was born 47, does it sound right, through 2026.
This is the year, folks. You heard it. You heard it here first. There's one part where the little Lego character of Donald Trump is like being drowned in a sea of Epstein file releases. Oh man.
Yeah.
Well, this is one way that we can be.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if I just love it or feel doom and despair because of it, maybe both, I guess. But I don't know. Like Jim said, to have an outright threat against the U.S. president, who also is a complete psychopath, feels, especially with the way things are going already. It's like, God, where is it going to stop?
Yeah, it is bold. I would say, like, my general feeling is, I don't know whether I should feel like horrific despair that this is the way we're now doing international politics. But I am definitely here for it. And, I think, and I don't mean this as a shift in the topic, but just mention, like, in context, this is also coinciding with people in the White House, like, laughing, like having, when you get the giggles and you can't stop laughing. Apparently when Donald Trump was first told that there was rumor and, like, to whatever degree well-founded speculation that the new Ayatollah is a person of the homosexual variety, and that Trump started laughing and his associates started laughing, and, like, that's the context. Like, this is what the two sides are doing there. And it's like,
right.
I mean, I guess, it is 2026.
That is damn true, I think. At least that's what I've been told.
Right.
I think that it reminds me so much of the way that all the Epstein releases have been handled, too, where why are statesmen behaving this way in public about these things? It's a radical change in tone that undermines the kayfabe that this is serious and real, and that the things we see in the news are real. It's weird and crass and not. It just doesn't feel like people who are adults taking things seriously. And the way that taking in, like, AI generated trolling from Iran to Trump, or the White House does similar stuff all the time as well, but taking all of this in it's so undermining to the collective mythos of what is going on.
Yeah, I agree. Like we mentioned, I don't know if it was if we were recording or not, but it's like we used to have this illusion that when the press or the White House press secretary was addressing the public, that we were at least supposed to pretend to believe it. And it just seems like that level of, like, pretend fake sincerity is eroding.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like it is eroded to a point, though, that, like, I don't really know how you get back to it either, because it feels like there is, I'm not a historian, so I don't know, but it feels like there has never been so much distrust in, like, every institution And media obviously being way up there as far as people disbelieving what they see.
Mm-hmm. I have this sense that Gen X really is leading the way on this.
How so?
They were just such a disaffected slacker generation. They're smaller than the boomers who came before them and the millennials who came after, and they're kind of they were raised by the silent generation and early boomers who were kind of late to the sexual revolution and were often like living out kind of, when we think of the midlife crisis, a lot of that was first kind of being codified by the parents of Gen X. You have latchkey kids is kind of the way that they're referred to. They were really under supervised and compared to millennials and boomers. And the 90s teen pop culture, you see it was this race to be really crass and kind of vile. I mean, you know, you have Jerry Springer and 90s pro wrestling attitude era. Well, Kurt Cobain, you're playing Nirvana. Kurt Cobain was a beautiful soul who was from totally trying to go a different way. I have a whole Kurt Cobain riff too. Hey, it seems like producer Jim has a Kurt Cobain.
Oh, I was trying to remember the other one.
But anyways, so Gen X is also the age cohort that most went for Trump by far. Like, they are by far the strongest supporters of Trump because, and it makes sense. Like, when you grew up on Kid Rock and Limp Bizkit, it's like, yeah. Have you ever looked at the lyrics of My Generation by Limp Bizkit?
Is that the same song as The Who?
No, it's Limp Bizkit's My Generation is I guess it's a 90s.
It's not, but it's not the same. It's not like they redid the song like they did Behind Blue Eyes.
No.
Okay. Because The Who had Talking About My Generation.
Right. This is kind of like, you know, I think it's like in conversation with that, but it's for Gen X and it's Limp Bizkit, so the writing is just immaculate. Yeah. And you know, a lot of it is completely inane, but then it'll move into things that are really interesting emanations from pop culture, like For All the Ladies in the Cave, Get Your Groove On, and Maybe I'm the One Who Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
I'm always down for like twisted psycho sort of stuff.
Well, dude, maybe I'm the one who flew over the cuckoo's nest, but guess who's next? In parentheses, who? Generation X, Generation Strange, Sun Don't Even Shine Through Our Window Pane.
Oh.
So kind of an odd mystical turn for Limp Bizkit there.
Mm-hmm. And who's next? Great new album.
The chorus is, because we don't give a fuck, and we won't ever give a fuck until you give a fuck about me and my generation. And we never did. We don't give a fuck about Gen X. They're sort of they're smaller in population, so they are kind of like lost in the shuffle. And I think like from that cultural background, you get support for these people who are just like, for this cohort, it's just a loss of decorum and meaning isn't that heartbreaking to them. They're like, fuck, that was all bullshit anyways. Like, it's a cynical generation because they saw the baby boomers have all these ideals and then go into Wall Street and stuff. So they're naturally, they're going to be a cynical generation. Millennials, we're all extremely sentimental and authentic and like in our own way, producer Jim especially. And the boomers were too in their way, but it's like, yeah, it's a very cynical wave is happening right now. And I think it's all led by Gen X, and then Gen Z is similar to Gen X in that way. They're very cynical.
Yeah.
This is all my sense of it. I wonder what you guys think.
I don't know really who isn't cynical. You know, and I do agree, like there's a lot of nostalgia for the 90s and 80s and stuff. But I don't know, maybe that's true. I'm not as fresh on the young kids and what they're thinking these days.
Yeah, I've got a small sample size, and I won't talk about the individual that I know personally. But I feel like I get a little bit of insight there. And boy, howdy, the effects.
This is a teen?
Adolescent. The internet, oof, boy, howdy.
There's just so much of it.
But no, I don't know. I'm inclined to agree with Michael. I don't know who's not cynical.
I'm in more in when I'm talking about a sentimental generation, millennials and boomers are much more idealistic. They're much more likely to be involved in politics, either as activists or as voters.
Okay.
They're way like the way you sell the marketing towards millennials is often like authenticity based and
sure.
It's like
John, whatever his name.
It's like, you know, let's be real.
Yeah, Jim from The Office.
John Krasinski voice. Yeah, right. Yeah, so there's this way that millennials are more dreamy and idealistic than X and Z, and we were raised by boomers. Like, I think it makes a lot of sense. Boomers were extremely idealistic too.
I have a pretty narrow, I have a sibling who's Gen X, and I definitely know Gen X people, but I still I have a really reductionist view of them, which is basically just Kevin Smith and Pearl Jam.
Yes.
But I do feel like
those are great. I think those are great cultural touchstones for where their heads were
I don't think they're bad ones, but those are about all that I really go with. But yeah, it was like this weird space where they saw, as a generation, in their mind, from their perspective, they saw through what the boomers were on about, and they didn't really try to put anything together because they're famously, what do they call them? Not the slackers or whatever else. But yeah, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I wouldn't be that excited if all I had was Kevin Smith movies and Pearl Jam either. So.
Yeah, and I think a real interesting way to track where a generation is headed are the drugs that make up the artists of a generation's palette. And you go from a lot of psychedelics and then later speed for boomers and weed, and then you, which are more idealistic or productive. Eventually, when they get to speed, it gets a little darker. But then heroin becomes the like perfect embodiment of the hopelessness of Gen X, whereas psychedelics, at least they produce states of visionary extravagance. The heroin is like escape but high risk, and it sort of leads to death. It's so bleak of a choice. It like speaks to hopelessness. There's probably no drug that more elegantly speaks to the hopelessness of the user.
Yeah, maybe so.
Alcohol, maybe, but yeah.
Yeah, alcohol is similar.
Yeah. But
although alcohol is less stigmatized,
for sure.
So it can be less dramatic.
Yeah, and just in the recent history, obviously a lot of drugs come out, and there are new drugs, and like when the psychedelics came out, like a lot of them were around for millennia for ceremony, but as far as being like things that the kids were taking, a lot of them were really new back then. But think about like use of heroin, like over the people did it for the pain, not even really categorizing it as a recreational drug, or like deliberately not doing so in order to make it more widely available on the commercial market, whatever. But but then, you know, by the time Gen X really got to it, it's like they weren't even like the people in the Greatest Generation and then people in the Lost Generation. They already did heroin, so the Gen Xers they weren't even doing like a new and exciting cool drug. Sure, like, you know,
Yeah, they're not even innovators.
no, I mean, yeah, MDMA like got more available.
Yeah,
and
because
stuff.
Burroughs,
like, you know, Europe.
Oh yeah, I mean, plenty of boomers did heroin too, but also, yeah, all the beatniks a generation before were all doing heroin. Yeah, so they're not even innovating on. They're so lazy, Gen X. They couldn't even find a new drug to do.
Yeah.
If you're struggling with drug addiction, folks,
Just
that's
stop.
up to you.
Just stop.
if you're drunk all the time, don't be.
That's stupid.
What are you doing, dumbass? But yeah, get help. Help is available.
Help is available, and it works. It actually works to get help.
It
was working great for me up until about 2 weeks.
Oh yeah, it's fun until it's not.
Oh no,
Sorry, it's not funny. No, it's a joke. It wasn't even funny.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Michael's in the doghouse now.
He's slipping.
Bro.
No, it's a joke. I'm not slipping, guys.
I think I speak for all three of us when I say all drugs are bad. Don't do them. Just stop right now. Everything.
Yes, except for a
Well
couple of
put,
them.
man.
Until we get sponsored by Kratom.
Yeah. And then our tone changes immediately. Yeah.
Yeah. Did you know that?
PSR branded ketamine home therapy.
Yeah.
Honestly, folks, if you want, we will.
Just a heads up.
Yeah. If you're only doing Chinese fentanyl, you really got to try the stuff that's coming from the south of the border. It's,
Artisanal small batch fentanyl. Straight from the city of El Cuacachicho. Do we want to brighten our day and talk about something actually worth watching? This is the first time we recorded something I think that we like. I liked it. I know Jim likes it. I'm just watching Michael to see if he liked it right now.
I did. I was wondering. I mean, is it Dr. Seuss?
no.
Is it from the like the same guys who illustrated that?
No, it was from the production crew of Channel 4 on the BBC. 1983.
Animation City.
Whoa.
Christmas Day it aired.
Really?
Yeah, it was a Christmas animation. So, do you want to do the intro? I know that this has a really special place in your heart, Jim, because it's from you watched as a boy.
Yeah.
So I wonder if you want to do the intro. I can also do it.
Oh.
I have it. I have stuff.
No, yeah, I'd be privileged to do that. And you're right. Back when I was a boy, we had a recent discussion about grown-ass men who refer to women that they are romantically interested in as girls, and we think that's weird. So I appreciate you referring to that. When I was a boy, I'm a man. I'm not a bad boy. I'm not a good boy. I'm none of that. So, but yeah,
let's just get that straight right on. All
right. Yeah, this is a roughly 10.5-minute short called Skywhales from 1983, BBC production. I should pull up the Wikipedia article. I forget the other guy's name. Phil Austin, actually, I just remembered it. And then a guy named Derek Hayes wrote and animated the short. And then there were a couple of voice actors whose names, one of them was Llewellyn. I forgot what the other one's name was, but they have a Wikipedia page. Anyway.
Can I share a cool thing about Llewellyn? Yeah. This is from my childhood. Robert Llewellyn is one of the voice actors, and he played Crichton, who's the mechanoid on Red Dwarf, which is a BBC series I used to watch with my grandma when I was a little boy. It was on PBS on Saturday nights when I was over at her house. And that when I saw that, I almost like teared up. I felt so connected to my grandma. Shouts out, rest in peace.
Oh, no, that's really sweet. And yeah, that's curious because I'm curious whether you recognize his voice. And I'm teasing the next detail I'm going to talk about.
I didn't.
Okay. So they are these like kind of humanoid horse-looking sort of creatures with mohawks that are badass on this floating island world, like an island in the sky kind of situation. And they have a made-up alien language. So they easily could have like written it in English. Like I would guess they would choose English for a BBC production. But it's a story that I think I'll just go ahead and say we're going to spoil. I recommend that you pause here, go to YouTube, type in Skywhales. You can find, what was it, Derek, what was his last name? Hayes.
Derek Hayes. Link in show notes.
Yeah. The director himself has the video posted on YouTube. I recommend that you pause and go watch it, 10.5 minutes. I think it's really beautiful. It's got some awesome, like old school hand-drawn animation. It's a little bit comic booky, and then a really badass prog flavored soundtrack. But it's a beautiful story where there's a family, like a man and a woman and a boy.
Adam and Eve.
Yep.
Not Adam and Steve.
Yep. When I play Call of Duty, I like one of my favorite things to say is God created UAV, not UA Steve.
Let's go.
There's this family, and then they see this guy walk by that looks like of their species, but he's white and pale, and he walks to this kind of ceremonial area, and he stands on the edge of this pit, teeters over, and falls in. And when he walks by, everyone respectfully shields their eyes and allows him to pass by, to go seemingly, fall into this pit. And then the war alarm is sounded, and the patriarch of the family goes with several other people on this badass like airship thing. Kind of reminds me of a Final Fantasy game, although I've never played any of them. But they've got an airship, but that's foot pedaled. Anyway, they eventually see this enormous, titular sky whale. Looks a lot like a whale, but it's in the sky. It's got some big wings, sort of like a manta ray sort of thing, but it's much, much bigger than the aircraft. They kill it. They bring it back, and the fast forward animation overnight demonstrates that the people, or whatever these things are, use the carcass, strip the carcass entirely of all the resources it has to offer. They
have a whaling economy, much like Nantucket of a certain era.
So the next day, the father, who actually did, I'll leave that part out of the synopsis. The way that he is involved directly with killing the sky whale is really dramatic and fun. But he's the one that actually delivers the death blow. And the next day, he starts feeling ill, and then suddenly, he gets pale, like the guy they saw at the beginning. And he takes his turn walking to the pit. His family shields their eyes. It's rather sad. He makes it to the pit, teeters on the edge, and falls in. And the animation shows him as he falls. He tumbles, and he is cocooned in a silk, maybe of his own making. That part's not exactly clear to me. And it shows him emerge from the bottom of the pit at the bottom of this island floating in the sky, a juvenile sky whale. And he flies off into the vast sky.
The circle of life.
Yeah, I just think it's a beautiful story about ecology. Maybe it is. I mean, it is obviously depicts some sort of a metamorphosis or transformation, but I think metaphorically it just represents like everything in its place. and everything in
Balance.
its time.
And give and take. And also just fucking badass overachievement. That's what I really experienced when I watched Skywhales. It's a like you said, it's a 10-minute animated cartoon, and the whole time you're watching it, you get this sense that the world is there's so much more in the world than you're shown, just because of all the details. Everything is so well thought out and integrated into a story where you really feel. You just feel held by a fictional world that is rich and alive, and you don't even need to understand any of the dialogue. That it's such a brilliant move. It's just like you feel into the humanity of these alien characters, and the story is sort of simple, but it's so powerfully crafted and created. That wasn't the fucking assignment for a 10-minute, thing on BBC. It's channel 4. It's not, in the early 80s. So it's, it's like they went so above and beyond to answer this call of their dream. Like it's visionary. And they realized that it could not be more the opposite of AI slop. It is the artistic, vim and vigor to actually realize all of that, because just it's a joy to do it. You can feel the joy in it at every frame. It's so joyful and interesting. I remember the first time I saw it, I was like probably 18, and Jim, you pulled it up and we were smoking weed, and I remember just being so high and watching it, and I mean, of course, we weren't smoking weed, obviously.
No, allegedly.
It was like we were. I just remember being so moved back then, and I've watched it a handful of times since, and it's just an incredible work of art.
Have y'all ever gone back, and Disney used to do little segments that are like, I mean, maybe it's part of a documentary and it's posted on YouTube as segments, but they would do a thing where they would have the artist working on like Snow White or whatever, the animators, have them talk about their own influences, like where are they drawing influences from, how do they look at the work that they're doing, and then they'll do that for each of the animators and talk about how all their differences help, but then they'll go out and, like the one that I'm thinking of, it's out in some meadow or something, and they all draw and paint a tree, but they all do it their own ways, and then the people making it, they'll go up and talk to them, and they'll kind of walk them through like what they're focusing on, how doing it. And it's man, it's just cool. Like I feel like there was a real different relationship that both the creators and also consumers of media used to have with the actual media that being made. And there was a lot of respect. And I mean, I'm sure most people know, but like the guys working at Disney were wildly talented and had really interesting, theories on art and how they wanted to like practice that. But can you imagine, I mean, even people now on mega blockbuster size movies, I just can't imagine they're talking art theory as they're creating the new Avengers or something,
No, I imagine those are available somewhere.
Yeah, on YouTube. I watched one just the other day.
Heck yeah.
Can you? I can put some in the Discord, and we'll add some to the show notes.
For sure. Yeah.
It reminds me of I was watching an interview with Harold Bloom today, and this is from probably 2005 or something, and he was lamenting the death of reading in 2005.
The question of whether there will be, as Walt Whitman said, great audiences for great writing is another question. And that is the question that concerns me.
He was kind of saying, I'm not worried about great writers being born, but great readers, or that, we were always worried about brilliant creatives, brilliant artists, but we need brilliant audiences too. We need audiences that are worthy of great art. And there's this way that we're not creating great audiences anymore.
That's one of the things I run into all the time whenever, you're sitting down having dinner, or you just had dinner and you're just chilling, watching some TV. All right. I feel so often that the people making this have absolutely no respect for their audiences. Mm-hmm. And it's like offensive, it's like the dialogue they're using, the way they're cutting, the music, the CGI bullshit. It's every little detail is our audience is, they're not smart. They're young. Their attention span is like 0.001 seconds. And we want them to not think at all, just to sit and swallow,
Yeah. No, I get that too. And I have two minds about it. One, which is that it seems really patronizing and like on their part, but on the other hand, like shows don't stay on that don't have the ratings.
For sure. No, that makes me think of sorry, Jonathan.
Go on, Michael.
That makes me think of an argument I've gotten into when I was younger about these auto manufacturers making giant pickup trucks or SUVs, and all this stuff, whenever what we need is like public transportation, And I remember having this conversation with some people who were older, maybe they're like 58, 60, something like that. And I'm going on my whole spiel about like, how shitty public transportation is in the U.S. Mm-hmm. And they kind of ended on the same note that was like, well, this is the system that they're going to make what people are going to buy. And people want to buy big ass 2,500 pickup trucks and a SUV with a V8 6.2 liter engine, it's just like a gas guzzling machine. And I don't know. I mean, maybe it's true that the audience and the consumers play as big a role as the producers, but I don't know. I think for whatever reason, I resent the producers more.
Oh, yeah.
I've been reading a lot lately about, I don't know, a lot. I read an article and a half probably. No. I've really been hitting the books on this next point, boys. Men. Sorry.
Wow.
Yeah. I've been hitting the books on this one about the latest kind of guidance for television and movie production is all about being friendly to someone who's on their phone while watching. So you have an increase in narration and in repetition of information,
right?
So that people can kind of follow along while not even looking at the screen most of the time. And the annoying part of that is you can say, well, that's going to lead to movies that are worse. And sure, absolutely. But also the audience is on their phones.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's, it's also, that is also true. I think that's just to your point. Both of y'all. It's like, yeah, it leads to worse stuff, but that's how we're engaging with it. So what do we expect? I think that there's so much emphasis on artistic quality from people who make it, and there's not nearly enough emphasis on like being worthy of great art, making yourself worthy of it and applying yourself to actually take in challenging art and enjoy it, and or watch Fruit Love Island.
Well, it makes me think, and I wish that I could remember. I was listening to something the other day, and they quoted some artist who I think was an author. But anyways, he was saying that, like, you know, good art is in pursuit or celebration of divinity, and that's like a flat out thing. That's what good art is. Mm-hmm. And if it's not doing that, then, you know, it's like, okay, you can have it, but it's not worth people consuming, you know?
Yeah, you know, and it does, you know, there is a distinction between things that are created with the intention of being art and then things that are created as products in the entertainment industry. And,
right.
You know, and there is
what are we doing right now?
I'm talking to a couple of my friends and that I know, and then hundreds of millions of friends that I haven't met IRL.
Sorry to interrupt you, Jim.
Oh yeah, you know, and that's like kind of a cynical. I mean, that a way to look at it is another way to blame capitalism for all of the problems in the world. And
here we go.
But yeah, you know, and it would be nice if all consumers of entertainment held standards for material of higher quality, but yeah, I guess let's just sort of trail off there. But, you know, again, like if they're getting the ratings and the shows are still going, then they're hitting the spot. Because I watched a short the other day, actually, about this voice actor was talking about the development of the Jim from The Office voice being used ubiquitously in commercials, where millennials no longer like to hear the announcement guy where we have the new product and you need it because it will make your life better. They wanted someone to talk to just like they're your friend. And that really caught on for the millennial audience. And this person argued that, you know, the proliferation of that being the new, like in terms of being hired as a commercial voice actor, they would use words describing that in what they were looking for. So in the industry side, they were saying conversational, like you're talking to a friend, as instructions to the voice actor. She said that the older, like then boomers, you know, in their 50s and the early 2000s, were not comfortable or used to doing that. But she wanted to make the case that it was not driven by people who make commercials whatsoever. It was driven by what was resonating with millennials at that time. And she said now if you pay attention, a lot of new ads, well, it depends on who the product is for, but there's this new, like, she called it a Gen Z voice, where it sounds like someone who can't even be bothered to look up from their phone while they're reading you the ad copy. And she said that if you pay attention, you can hear like the strata of the age groups of the target audience for the product in the affect of these different voice actors, which, like, from a marketing standpoint, it makes perfect sense. It's kind of like, of course, you know, it almost goes without saying that they would be strategizing in that way. But the point that I'm, like, the context I'm bringing it up here is that, you know, these shows that people with more you know, consumers with higher scrutiny might eschew, or I love that quote. I one time saw a sign. It said "eschew obfuscation." I thought that was
obfuscate.
Yeah, but yeah, you know, if they're making the numbers, I think it is driven by the market more so than the directors. But should we be mad at them for making stuff that sucks? Yes.
Right. Well, my question is, like, why are we sitting here thinking like this shit is trash, and other people will talk about their favorite movie being like The Avengers or something, or Harry Potter? You know, Harry Potter's one that, in fact, Jonathan, it was in that clip, you know. I want to say it was in the clip
of Harold Bloom, the Harold Bloom clip I shared. Yeah,
where it's like, I don't know, man. I mean, I feel like it's good that people read, no matter what. But at the same time, if the extent of what you're reading is Harry Potter, I think that's like bad, But it makes me wonder, like, well, why do we feel this way? And why does society at large not? And maybe that's that's starting from the wrong position. Like, maybe society does want more art that's meaningful and ask more of the audience. Maybe, I don't know. And maybe it's just a force of capitalism and making money that overrides that.
The last part you say,
if you're listening, go ahead. We want another
I
one.
think write another book.
Yeah.
I think that what I hear in what you're saying that gives me hope is that there are certain pleasures that art, which isn't challenging at all, gives you. There's some sort of vibrational level that feeds you at. It's like, distracting and occupying, and it doesn't interrupt being on the phone and all that. It's serving a need that people have. People have an actual need, and they are finding this as the way to meet that need. That's undeniable. And I don't doubt that they have a need. Like, humans, my experience of being a human is I'm filled with needs and desires, and yes, all get out. And it's just about not ever admitting to needs to your girlfriend and friends. No, but you're like, they're getting a need met. And what is certain to happen is that wave will crest, and other needs that have long been unmet will become resurgent and demand to be met. And that is the wave of Renaissance that happens in cultures on the regular throughout human history. And Renaissances don't happen when culture is good or fulfilling to some degree. It's you got to hit rock bottom culturally to get a good Renaissance going. So in a way, Fruit Love Island is a very good sign, folks. This is the one we've been waiting for. This is like the thing that gets big right before the turn happens. This is my hope. Producer Jim, is he behind me or is he against me? I'm trying to read your face.
I
see doubt.
I don't see a problem with Fruit Love Island. It seems like you're implying things about it.
They eat fruit on their dates. Have you noticed that when they go on dates, they have fruit platters?
Yeah, and they drink wine. I like the one where that's like pours the wine on the guy and then the glass is still full, like some sort of crazy magic wine.
Yeah, hell yeah. Maybe that's kind of the thing. The glass is still full after you splash it. This is the good thing about AI.
Oh yeah, half
There's
empty,
like a metaphor.
half full. No, full all the time, all the way full, all the way. Yeah, but I will say that I did thoroughly enjoy every moment I spent watching Fruit Love Island. And when I evaluate something as a product for entertainment, Fruit Love Island, what do they call them when they're not Rotten Tomatoes?
Popcorn. They're fresh certified.
Yeah. Is it as challenging as the Brothers Karamazov? No. But it serves a different need for me.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that art, do you think?
The Brothers Karamazov? No.
Hell no.
Trash.
The Fruit Love Island?
Yeah, I guess I would need a working definition of art
Right.
Oh,
And that's the
thank
thing.
you.
There
No,
is
thank you.
none. There's no operating one.
There's never a working definition of art that satisfies anyone
Right.
for more than about 4.5 seconds.
For sure. It's like gravity,
Yeah.
or consciousness.
I think art is less useful as a definition of objects, like a category of objects, and better better as a verb, or like something that you move from. Like I'm moving from art or something, or like being artists or something.
Yeah. Would I regard it as film? No, they're shorts.
Yeah.
you could just use the cheat code and say art is a process. That solves a lot of problems.
Just like Prophet Station Radio.
Let's fucking go.
We gotta talk to this audience who is reeling from the amount of AI generated content that they are consuming these days. Not unlike junk food, not unlike microplastics, this consumption sometimes feels like it's rotting us from the inside out. And maybe
Because it is.
But
It
there's
most
always
certainly is.
another way. You can always make art. Michelangelo, why don't you show us what you spent today making?
My solution to there being so much shit is to make an effort of making art as
Make a
opposed-
little shit of your own.
And if it sucks, it's still fun to do.
Ooh, beautiful.
Ooh, yeah.
So we got like a Venus de Milo going on.
Yeah, I don't know who the male sculpture was.
Yeah, I noticed there's one part of it you put a lot of attention on. There's a lot of detail located.
Juicy.
Juicy.
3.5-inch big toe.
You're drawing a bananito over there.
Oh man, that reminded me of a funny discussion I saw on Quora the other day. I do not recommend discussions on Quora in general. Talking about Michelangelo. I don't want to body shame, but
The women.
the women, yeah, I'll leave it at that for now.
Let's come on, let's do this.
Yeah. Go to images.google.com, search up Michelangelo women.
No,
Woman, yeah.
Oh,
Familiar.
oh, sorry, I meant his David, but yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
Oh,
David.
come on, man. Don't
Oh, you
shame the
mean-
man.
No, I'm not.
Yeah,
Jesus.
come on.
No, just never mind.
I love the idea, David slays the giant Goliath. I love the idea that actually the difference in size, they were talking about dicks.
Oh yeah. Okay. Well, if you're gonna say that, then there were a
There we
lot
go.
of commenters saying like, well, actually, it's just proportional. And someone's like, well, I actually, for the first time in my life, did penis math, and he is exceptionally, like, statistically small. And I just thought that was funny.
I love that it's an obvious lie that was the first time the commenter did penis math.
Oh,
I mean, come on.
yeah, because
There
Quora, it
is
says like,
no way.
yeah, I'm gonna go back and check because like it'll say professional jazz guitarist for 25 years, like professional penis math guy.
Take us out, Jim. What have we done? What have we done here? We're just spreading AI slop.
You know what? Fruit Love Island, do they have a theme song really? Do they just have like kind of Latin sort of stuff?
It's just like AI generated, like, I think. Just like saw synth
Yeah, do you
basic
think there's a place?
club music stuff.
I might try to like do some of my own soundtrack to it, and see if I
Yeah.
can get some likes and follows by capitalizing on
That's
the
a
success
really-
of, Fruit Love Island.
That's a really good idea to do an original score.
Yeah, like
Love Island.
yeah, like betting on.
That's That's such a funny solution to AI slop is to take popular AI slop and just like overly, yeah, like add in
Flush
a
it
bunch of
out.
handmade art stuff to it.
Right.
Yeah, flush it out.
Yeah, per our discussion, like why should only the capitalist war machine financially profit from international conflict? Why not let the proletarian booker get a cut? If there's gonna be AI slop, why not make a buck off of it?
Yeah, absolutely. That's what we're doing today.
All right.
In a way,
Hopefully.
hopefully.